Yes, and we are back. Episode 4. There's been a delay, Lee. We took some time off. We had to clear the head, regroup, digital detox. But now we're back in the game, and you're back as a fourth guest. Pleasure to have you. How are you doing?
Oh, great. I'm absolutely brilliant. I'm quite chuffed to be invited back again, second time. What?
I know, Lee. You're high in demand. I was looking through the views there, and your podcast was by far ahead of everybody else. So
Oh, seriously?
there's a big
Right.
demand for you, your wisdom and your wise words.
I like to hear that. So all 20 views then, what?
What was that? Sorry.
All 20 views.
Oh no way! We were
Is that what you mean?
No, we were up big numbers. I know. Sorry, if I do have to ask questions twice, my internet here is having a bit of a meltdown. For anyone at home listening, but no, it was a 500 odd views. That was a good solid start. It's only downhill from there. So we need to choose better get. You had such a high standard. We need better guests on. I'm joking. Other guests were fantastic.
That's very good for your first ever podcast, I have to say.
No, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. No, we had some amazing guests on afterwards. We had Keith Lynch, GB paraclimber, and then Carolyn Blair, who talked about mindfulness, which was fantastic. But obviously, the wisdom of yourself was
Carolyn, yes.
was so far ahead that they were only ever playing catch up. I'm not telling them that.
Oh, brilliant.
So how are you keeping, Lee? We're opening our doors on Friday. Gyms in Northern Ireland, outdoor classes. How are you feeling?
It's good to see some sort of movement. I have to say, people, slowly reopening things, and people are obviously itching to get back to the gym. I know the likes of ourselves doing like group coaching and group qualifications. That's going to be a wee bit further down the line, but it's good to see some sort of opening. I have to say, but at the same time, a lot of people now, I think, they're really taken to the outdoors, which is great to see. But I know they will miss the environment of the gym too. So it's nothing but a good thing, I have to say.
No, 100%. Actually, I remember last time I had a podcast, some of the feedback people were asking, how do you guys know each other? What is the relationship? So probably give a little bit of an introduction how we actually came to become this dynamic duo in the podcasting world and taking over the health and fitness world. So I'm the fitness and wellbeing officer at Queen's University in Belfast. So I would run the activity program there, classes, courses, manage the gym staff. And Lee, of course, I will let you introduce yourself, the man of many talents.
Oh, don't say that. Well, no, I'm the owner of Platinum Training Institute, which is based in Queen's University in Belfast. And we obviously run health and fitness qualifications, and Andrew's been very lucky enough to be on a few of them. Yeah, so that's how we sort of got to know each other at the beginning once he came into Queen's, and we've been best buds ever since.
Best buds ever since, and I have so many qualifications that I've got a backlog of them to do. It'll take me the rest of the year to get them done, but
You're doing too many now. Too many.
We'll not dive too deep into that just now. But yeah, no, it's fantastic. The gyms are opening again on Friday. I know they've opened in England and Scotland just there this week. So Friday is going to be the big resurgence. And as you say, it'll be interesting to see what the uptake's going to be. People adapting to the outdoors, the weather getting better. But I think there is a sense that people are looking forward to that change of scenery and getting into the gym and having that option.
Well, I suppose getting hold of, machines, equipment that they can't get a hold of outside, you know what I mean? Which it's a bit of a weird one because, as I always say, you don't really need a gym to train. I've always said that your body is the gym. You can, find as much resistance as you need. Now, when you're going into the heavy weights or maybe strength and conditioning side of things, yeah, you obviously need, the gym. But no matter what, it's just good to see it opening again and, sort of life getting back to normal, whatever that is. But I'd say it. I have a funny feeling there'll be a lot of people rushing in, to get back on Friday. I just have a funny feeling. I could be completely wrong, but we'll see. Only time will tell.
No, 100%. I actually had that conversation with one of my colleagues. I said it's really interesting that we're going to open the gyms and people are anxious and there's this big rush to go inside to sit on a stationary bike when we've got the great outdoors and you've been able to, cycle for forever. There's been no difference. But in saying that, I wouldn't be a hypocrite either, because I would probably do the same in some extent, more so with weight training and some of the other pieces of equipment. But it kind of shows there that evidence of people going inside and using the gym and using stationary bikes and going inside to use treadmills when they could just go out for a run. I don't actually see a problem with it, because for some people it really is an atmosphere thing. It is that place to go, and they have that in their head. That is the place I go, I socialize, I see people, I have a little chat, and that's where I function best. And it is interesting how we've got the great outdoors, but people feel more comfortable in that gym environment. So it's a funny one.
But you sort of hit the nail on the head there. I think the gym, it's a big social, it's all social side of things, where as long as all people don't have their headphones in, then it's a good social, atmosphere. We are able to maybe talk to people, and I don't know how the rules are obviously going to work, but you'll still be able to see people, and seeing other people exercising and is actually motivating for you too. So it's everybody's different. Some people would never ever go near a gym. Some people would, what I mean? It just depends what suits the best. But having the option there is fantastic. Like, I know myself, I'll not be using the gym at all. I'll be using the pool, yes, because me being a swimmer and stuff. But even that's been closed for a while. I'm obviously very lucky to have the sea there. Can still Absolutely. Do that.
Can't beat it.
But just having the option, to be able to go to the gym environment. Yes, if the rules and the regulations are all in place, fantastic. As I say, it's one of the safest places to be. And I know, going with the last time when we had our qualifications in there, where there was a 1 hour slot and then everything was cleaned for 15 to 30 minutes, then another 1 hour slot. So, to me, it's quite safe, in fact, I think nearly supermarkets are nearly worse, the gyms, but we'll see how it goes.
No, 100%. Particularly, I'm not just saying this as I work for Queen's, but like at Queen's, we do have a great system in place. There's a lot of staff there, as you say, 1 hour slots. People, they come in with the Ghostbuster spray and it deep cleans everything in 5-10 minutes, and social distancing's in place. And what I would say to people going back is, if you don't feel that your gym is in a safe environment, then don't be afraid to question it. There are some gyms who are just freestyling it. And I mean, I went to some other gyms last time, they were open, and how they were open, I have no idea. I wouldn't name names, but don't feel, like you have to go in just because they're open if you don't feel safe. But I would say generally now they are pretty good. There seems to be a message across the board where not so much even the gyms, but the people within the gyms are quite respectful and using the equipment and everything else as well. But on that note as well, I'd probably say anyone going back to the gym, don't try and cram 5 months training into your first session. Take your time, folks. I can't emphasize that enough. If you're going back to the gym, don't try and make up for lost time on the first day. Get yourself back in, get yourself familiar with the kit, go and ask the gym instructors for some advice if you need it. Just go in there and get a feel of the place, because it could be overwhelming. It could be either exciting or intimidating, depending on how you feel. So go in, take your time, and don't get an injury. Would there be any sort of message for those individuals, Lee, sort of going back in the gym regarding that intimidation factor?
To be honest, the way it's laid out, as I said before, it having like the 1 hour slot where, you have a group of people in, you've restricted numbers for that amount of time. Then after that 1 hour slot, you leave, you go, and then the next group comes in 15 to 30 minutes later, whatever it is. So it's ideal, in my opinion, where you're never going to have, hundreds of people in the gym at the same time, because there's obviously going to be restricted numbers and time slots. So I think and then obviously machines cornered off depending on the social distance rules. So in my opinion, I understand people are going to be anxious, but at the same time, if you're really, really anxious about going to the gym, well then don't. Leave it for a while until you feel a bit more comfortable. But at the same time, if you're not going to the gym, don't think that there's nothing else that you can do. Do you know what I mean? Go outside of Queen's PEC if you're a member of there, of course, train outside. You know, like, I think we're sort of brought up in the mentality like nearly like the gym is the only place that you can train or get fit or get health, you know, which is a load of BS, obviously. The gym is a fantastic place to be. Like, obviously, me working in the industry since I finished school, and I loved training in gyms for years. Yes, I don't really anymore because it doesn't do what I need. But that was pretty much a long-winded answer of saying, you know, the restrictions are in place, you know, the time slots, the cleaning, everything's there. It's very, very safe. Even the one-way system. You know, if there's other gyms that you're at that you don't feel comfortable in, just don't. There's always other things you can do outdoors, you know.
No, there's great options there. Whether it's the gym or the pool or the great outdoors, or even climbing walls are opening again. So thank goodness for that. So if you're interested in climbing, then highly recommend it. Regarding health and safety with that, I mean, they do have a system in place as well. So I wouldn't feel too intimidated. But I think, excuse me, one of the big issues with people returning to the gym isn't so much health and safety, but I think a lot of people, even for their own body image, are going to feel quite anxious going back to the gym, which is such a shame. I don't feel like that message has been portrayed enough. And don't feel anxious about that. You know, don't worry about putting on a few pounds over lockdown, or if you feel unfit. I mean, that is the vast majority of people. You know, a lot of individuals have been great getting outside and keeping their mind healthy, which has been the most important thing. But you know, some people will feel a little bit anxious about going back and thinking, oh, you know, maybe put on a few pounds and everything. I mean, don't is basically my my message, if possible. I mean, I can't tell you not to be anxious, but you know, don't feel intimidated by going in and thinking people are going to be looking at you or judging you or worrying about how you look. They won't be. People will be delighted to see you back. People will be delighted to have you there. People will be delighted to help you if there's any advice that you need. So if you are feeling like that, then my advice would be, you know, reach out to a personal trainer, maybe get that reassurance, speak to the gym beforehand, because believe me, there'll be dozens and dozens of people, hundreds of people, thousands of people around the country who are in the same shoes, or maybe feeling a little bit intimidated. And really, nobody cares in the gym, you know, how you look. People are just there to keep fit and keep healthy, and they're more than happy to support you.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that's the big thing, because a lot of like information people obviously won't know about when the gyms reopen, how changing rooms are going to work, showers, toilets, the gym facilities, the studios, all that sort of stuff. So don't be afraid to ask the question, because obviously in the world we're living in now, all staff has to be trained in some sort of, you know, rules, regulations through COVID, as in the need to know, you know, what happens in scenario A, B, C, D. So like, I know myself, just speaking for myself, I felt very safe in Queens. Obviously our office is on the 4th floor. So I obviously have to go through the whole building to get to our office. So in my opinion, I felt very, very safe, even with, you know, the whole one-way system and the time slots and things like that. And even with our students, I felt they were quite safe, because even if we have a group of students, say 12 people, well, they're broken up into groups, small groups, obviously not for the time being until the end of May when we're allowed, but whenever a few months ago, whenever we were able to do that. So in my opinion, it's very, very safe, but I understand the anxiousness. And the biggest obstacle I think people are going to have is, I even noticed when I'm going out for a walk, and yeah, people are obviously keeping their distance and staying away from you as much as they can. But people that would probably originally have said hello to you, their heads down, they're afraid to even say they're afraid to even talk now, which that's more worrying than the social distancing side of things. I think people are sort of like withdrawn into themselves, which is the worrying thing. So don't be afraid to still say hello to people. Don't be afraid, you know, to get the head up and say hi. I think that's going to be a big obstacle, in my opinion. You know, as I said, I've seen it quite a bit going on walks. People who would normally, you know, hello, well.
Yeah, everybody's got a more conservative approach.
What sort of day have you had? No. That's worrying.
Yeah, well, hopefully that can change moving forward. And well, there's the big grand reopening. We've been talking about the gyms, but I suppose hospitality and the pubs are opening as well. So maybe that'll lighten people's load a little bit and let them release some steam, but not too much steam. I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Lee. Something we talk about a lot is individuals who are trying to keep fit, keep healthy, improve their well-being, but we haven't talked too much about maybe sports teams, elite sportsmen, women who potentially are pushing to that maybe world Olympic level, but it's important for those guys to keep a healthy mind as well, even more so with the sort of pressures they're under. I suppose with Tokyo coming up, something I've been following a lot recently. I've seen the British swimming trials, for example, and I sort of wonder how do these guys and girls, how do they stay mentally strong under the spotlight and when they're doing the same routine every day? And would you come across many sort of elite sports people, and what sort of advice would you give those guys? Would be much the same?
Yeah, it's a bit of a feel very, very, very sorry for them, especially as you said, just mentioned the Olympic side of things, when how close it is, if it is going ahead. I know they say it is. But there's obviously been so many distractions, and trying to get training in has been difficult. But here's the thing: at the same time, elite athletes have nearly always been allowed to train. Correct me if I'm wrong. Throughout this whole thing, so nearly. Yeah. They're probably finding it themselves, or certain facilities. Like I do know a few of the elite athletes, and they've had completely public. So if they're of the mindset they love training alone and not being bothered, well then it worked out well for them, being able to use the facilities. But if they need that whole group and motivation of people around them, that's the difficult part. Yeah. So best of luck to them all, but I think when the Olympics come, I don't think there's going to be too many world records broken this time around with the stop-start training, and I think it's going to be difficult. But for elite athletes, I'm sure they have some sort of mindset coaches. I'm sure they do some sort of psychology, training, whatever it may be. So I'm sure that's just been ramped up a bit with because obviously I think one industry that's definitely gone through the roof is counselling, is sports psychology, is coaching, things like that. So yeah, I don't know if I answered that question, but yeah, I think
no, absolutely. There's
every group's been affected, and there's not a group that you can think of that hasn't been affected by this throughout the world.
100%. There's a bit of lag, but hopefully it won't show when we post this live. But I think the overriding message was pretty clear. I mean, they have been lucky in a sense where they've had access to those facilities. And it was actually interesting. You touched on the point there where you said there might not be many world records broken. I'm actually interested to hear your thoughts on that, because I'm not sure how much of this you've been exposed to, but something I study quite a lot. I did a sports science degree, was performance enhancing drugs. As somebody who's massively against them, quite honestly, and they're becoming more prevalent now within our industry, which isn't elite sport, which is health and fitness, and the fitness influencer as such. So I'm not sure if you've come across that side. That's the dark side of the industry. And probably, to make it clear, if somebody wants to use it for personal use, then go and do it, no problem at all. But then when you sell your training programs and get fit and get to 3% body fat, that's when it bugs me. It always bugs me in elite sport. I mean, I would be a massive anti-doping advocate, but personal use, that's your own decision. But when then you spread the message of, I'm a personal trainer, I can get you fit, but you're on steroids, you're on X, Y, and Z, then it bugs me. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I'm going to start asking everybody this question because I want to get a wide perspective on it. But have you come across it in the sort of health and fitness industry?
Oh yeah, Jabers, yeah. As I say, I'm 20 years in the industry now, and yeah, of course I've seen it. I've never touched them, never had to. But I think it's a worrying trend, which goes hand in hand, I suppose, with I know we always come back to this, the social media side of things, but it is very, very important to say where once aesthetics are involved, now we will obviously take the bodybuilding industry. Is there performance enhancing drugs in that? You tell me.
Everyone.
That's an obvious one. But it's once, as you say, that's filtering down to Joe Public, as in, right, this is what I look at my training. This, you can be this way if I coach you, but then when you go in, you're starting to go into the drug side of things. So yeah, I've seen it. I've obviously seen it in the industry over the years. Yes, and it is unfortunate that people are doing that. But there's certain physiques you cannot get without those drugs. That's just plain and simple. So I will go back to the social media side of things. Once you see aesthetics and bodies being touched up and this, that, and the other, of course, people will look and go, well, why am I not getting these results? Okay, I'll try this here out then. You know what I mean? And that just keeps coming back to the, why do you want to look like that? What is the reason here? They always say a six-pack is the most pointless thing in this world that you need. What is that for? You know what I mean? And I don't get this. It's replacing the aesthetic side of the industry with the health side of the industry, which in a good way, after everything that's happened, people will focus more on the health side of things now going forward. They have to. So that's a good thing that's coming out of it. But I've never understood the drugs. Well, no, I understand it, to reach the peak level. I get it. You look at Mr. Olympia and all that, you're looking going, I don't understand this. But all I can say is don't be doing it, because in a certain way you're cheating yourself. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. And I would even be saying to any of our female viewers who are looking at their role models as fitness influencers, I'm not trying to ruin the industry here. There's tens of thousands of fantastic and very genetically gifted and hardworking fitness influencers and personal trainers. Don't get me wrong. I
don't like that word, influencer, by the way. But
I don't like it. I don't like it either. I don't like it either. That's I'm totally with you. But that's what we're dealing with, and that's what we're talking about in regards to steroid users. If you're an influencer, it's probably you're being influenced by drugs. But no, it's a broad term. But I mean, question it is basically what I would say. And even females as well in the gym, don't think that they're not taking something if they're down it. I think the biggest red flag for me is if you see somebody and they're 5% body fat, 3-4% body fat all year round. Like I've done a cut before just for experimental purposes. You feel absolutely horrendous. You're grumpy, you're fatigued, you're just irritable, you don't sleep right. So if you see somebody looking shredded all year round and they've got a significant amount of muscle mass, I'm sorry, maybe not everybody. There's some genetic animals out there. But
I'm glad, because obviously there's all sort of body types, and you see a lot of people who would never train a day in their life. And I know a friend of mine, he's just into sea swimming and surfing and stuff like that there, and he doesn't do any training, and he just ripped
Yeah.
But that's just the way I like. It's sort of the way that you've been brought up, as in the foods that you're eating, the environment you're in, the thing. But that is a minority, obviously.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and then that's something else that you shouldn't really compare yourself to. There are individuals who are just genetically predisposed to carry muscle mass or to have low body fat, and we're all unique individuals, and that's why compare your goals to yourself, and strive to improve from who you were a month ago, a week ago, yesterday, whatever your goals may be. The aspiration shouldn't be the fitness models, is basically what we're trying to say in this small segment, because there's a likelihood that they've used performance enhancing drugs, and if they haven't, then they're either genetically gifted, which is fantastic for them, they hit the genetic lottery. And even if they're not doing something, then as you said, they probably don't feel that great. They probably feel good for that 1 hour where they're recording it, and then they're exhausted and it's all, you know, lighting and everything else. So as you say, that shouldn't be your aspirations necessarily. You know, there's nothing wrong with having high goals, but
there's a lot of those things that you've mentioned there that I will always go back to. Oh, sorry, there was a lag over there, so there was. Sorry, go on ahead.
No, it's okay. I just said if it doesn't make you feel good, then don't do it.
No, I was gonna say, like, there's a lot of things that you mentioned there that I will always go back to the word why. So why are you? So first of all, why do you want to look like that? There's obviously, think about that for a second. Why? What is the purpose behind that? So once you get that, great. That's you. Are you perfect now? No. Okay, so that's a why. I don't really understand. You know, maybe it's an age thing. Like, I'm hitting 40, God help me, in August, and I have noticed the changes as the years goes on in this industry. As in, yeah, I want to get a six pack. I want to, get ripped. And then as time goes on, like, why do I want that nonsense? No, thank you. I want to feel good up here. I want to be able to get out of bed. I want to be able to be mobile. I want to be able to move. I want to be able to climb a tree. I want to be able to jump into the sea. I want to be able to play with my wee girl. These are the things, I think that's an age thing. So that's why at Platinum especially, we got the whole aesthetics side of things. It was like, no, we're not interested in that whatsoever. It's the health. So even if you're training as a personal trainer, the health modules and health workshops are put into that, not 12-week transformation, 6 week, all that sort of stuff. Get away from that. We're looking at a holistic approach, a sort of all-round health and well-being. So I'll just keep saying to people, go back and say, why do I want to look like that? The same when you're posting anything on social media, anything, before you hit post, say, why am I doing this? Like, I don't understand certain things people are posting, going, what's the reason behind this? So just always ask yourself why.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, again, you have to work towards your individual needs. And don't get me wrong, I would be a hypocrite if I sat here and said that I don't see value in some types of bodybuilding or that type of training, because I think certain individuals, they enjoy it and they genuinely enjoy it. That's what gets them out of bed in the morning. That is their goal, and they love it. They love that type of training, but that's individual for them. It's when there's a shift in the industry that this is the norm, is to look absolutely cut and shredded, and you feel like you need to work towards that because somebody else does. And I think that's probably the message that we're portraying. That's not what you should have to do, and that's not your goals. It's somebody else's goals, and that is fine. I mean, that is genuinely what excites people. Then great. I like a bit of bodybuilding myself, dip in and out because I enjoy it, but I wouldn't obsess about it. But if you don't enjoy it, like we said, don't go to the gym and do bicep curls, and don't try and look ripped, because you're not going to feel any better for it, because you're not going to enjoy it. Then you're not going to get the results. Then you're going to feel worse because you don't get those results. So again, particularly with coming back to the gym, don't aspire to the poster models who are multimillionaires, who have their own gyms and haven't stopped training. Get in, ask for advice, keep yourself healthy, and do what you enjoy.
As you said, like there when you mentioned, like, the issue is, right, there was a shift in the industry a few years ago into bodybuilding style training. I have zero issue with bodybuilding if that's your focus. Same as way, like, if you're a triathlete, if you're a gymnast, we're all different. If you love doing that, that's it, 100%. But it's when that seeped into the industry and every personal trainer was doing, right, Monday is chest day, Tuesday is, and I'm like, not everybody wants to be the bodybuilding side of things. That's not overall health that you're aiming towards. Yeah. If on their SMART goals form, they're writing, I want to be more mobile, I want to be flexible, I want to do, and you're going in and doing chest day, back day, leg day. I'm like, what the hell? This doesn't make sense. Yeah, but that was nearly put out there in social media where every trainer needs to do this, and they were sucked into that. And in my opinion, that's just wrong. There's going to be days you as a trainer, you don't go near a gym with a client. You know what I mean? You go out and walk in the forest and start talking and finding out, what's going on up. And then the other is associating looks, as in ripped, with knowledge.
Oh.
Just because you look great doesn't mean you know your arse from your elbow. It is
100%.
simple as that. So you need to find out about your individual coach, your trainer, to see, first of all, what their qualifications are, how long they've done them over, not a quick, we're not going to this fast track nonsense, and find out what their knowledge base is. Just because people are brilliant nowadays at marketing, you know, they're thousands and thousands and millions of followers on this, yet they've never trained anybody in their life. You know what I mean? Does that mean they're a good coach? Of course not. You know, and I will always go back to some of the best coaches I know in this industry. First of all, have no social media, none whatsoever. You wouldn't even know them. They're the quietest people in the world. That's what I'm saying. Over 20 years doing this, I can name a handful of them, and I know they're not out there screaming and shouting and, oh, look at this. Do you know what I mean? So, sorry, I went away.
No, no, I 100% agree. I'll not keep you much longer because I know you have to shoot off. But
you're grand. No problem.
No, I think 100%. What I would say to people is, you know, choose your own goals, individual, specific goals to you. Take your time when you get back into health and fitness. Question social media influencers, fitness models. There may be fitness models, but they're not fitness trainers, and that's very important. There's a massive difference. Always ask the question, you know, and most importantly, ask the question of yourself. What are your own individual goals? And do you really want to aspire to be ripped? If you do, and you want to be a bodybuilder, like, fantastic. Like, again, no problem at all. If you truly, really enjoy it. If you're just doing it because everybody else seems to be doing it, believe me, they're not all doing it.
Only you know your own goals. So you're going to a trainer for a reason. You're going because you want to do A, B, C, D. So if you go in there and then they're training you for X, Y, Z, you're like, well, hold on. You should question that, saying, no, this isn't really what I was looking for. The best coaches will train you for your A, B, C, D that you put on your goals. You know what I mean? Specifically to you, personal training. Simple as that. Plus, take a break from social media. Every so off together. I'll preach that all day long. Take a break from it so that you're not bombarded with all these images and people's, you know, opinions, and because there's 100 different like methods out there that all seem to be right. Do you know what I mean? But they may not be right for you. That's what I'm saying. Like, I've tried every diet under the sun in the 20 years. You know, I've gone from 7% body fat to 35% body fat, believe it or not, up and down like a yo-yo over years, trying all sorts of things. So you need to find out what's individual for you. You know your own goals. Don't be following the pack. Do you know what I mean? Ask yourself, why do I want these things? Why do I want these goals? And keep it simple. Jeepers, you know, and as I say, like, simplest of things is, you know, being mobile and, you know, having a clear mind, decluttering. I think that's the best thing, because then, you know, you're not in the rat race. Go. Just slow things down. Sorry, I said about 100 things there in one sentence.
No, 100%.
It's the coffee.
And that's it. Whatever coffee you're drinking, I want some of it. It's full wisdom. But no, and what I would say to individuals as well, there's overwhelming amounts of advice out there, and that's
it's in my Goonies mug.
Yes. And that's probably touching on your point there with taking a break from social media, because there's so much information, there's so many people out there preaching advice that it is overwhelming, and not all of it's bad either. Again, I'm not, you know, painting everybody with the same brush. There's some fantastic trainers out there who do have a big social media following, who do look fantastic, who are genuine and are just great at what they do. And that's, you know, again, if you follow them, then fantastic. But there's probably going to be this big rush to get back to the gym. There is this pressure, and that's what I am worried about in some sense, where people, they're going to start their diet, I don't like that word either, the day they get back to the gym. So not only are they going to go back and expend more calories, they're going to eat less. And again, that's when there's more chance for injury and burnout and things as well. So we'll do one thing at a time, you know, go back, go to the gym first, then slowly tweak your nutrition. Don't, you know, feel like you need to go on, I need to cut my 10 pounds for the holiday that may or may not ever come here. So see how your training makes you feel first, and then tweak your nutrition. And again, go and ask somebody for that nutritional support. Don't follow a a juice diet or something online, especially when you go back into the gym. Just please don't do it.
No, couldn't agree more. And cutting out food groups and this and that and the other. Like, we're all individuals. You know, once again, you'll see on social media, this plan works. It may not work for you. That's not the way it works. You need to trial and test it. You know, like an elimination diet, nearly. You try a food, it doesn't work for you, don't eat it. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. These are the simplest of things. You don't need a fancy dancy scientific program. Like, literally, if I eat chicken or rice or something or pasta, and I'm like, oh, that's affecting me, I'll not eat it. Yeah. You know what I mean, for a while. So it's finding what works for you and what doesn't. And yeah, please do not calorie restrict to the point where, my goodness, you're a zombie. You know what I mean? It's that's a dangerous game too. In the industry, this calorie restriction and zero carbs and this, that, and the other. Yeah, carbs affect me. I don't take a lot of them because, you know, it does make me groggy, but I don't take zero. You know, yeah. Definitely not. You know.
That's it, 100%. And it's making small incremental changes to your lifestyle and, you know, listening to your body. I think that's the most important thing, is listen to your own body, see how it reacts. But, you know, don't do it all at once. You know, little changes.
No.
You know, some people, you know, don't eat dairy, don't eat gluten, and those are some people, and some people, as you say, you know, carbs can make them feel groggy and sluggish. I would be, again, one of those people, but I know that I need carbs to operate, you know, a little bit before training, a little bit after training, you know, little doses throughout the day, not one big heavy meal. Some people could eat pasta all day and, you know, don't get bloated, they don't do nothing. So again, listen to your own body.
It depends then again, as in what sort of activity or sport are you're involved in. Because let me guess, if you're a triathlete or a marathon runner and you're eating no carbs, good luck to you. No good luck. Yeah. No hope. You know, so it all depends on what activity you're doing, how active you are. If you're sitting there 24/7 at a desk all day long, you know, obviously you're gonna, you know, you don't want to be eating as much because you're just not moving, you're not burning it off. Which brings me to, you know, get up and walk about every so often. Try not to sit like Andrew's doing a podcast while I'm standing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. Should be standing. I'm actually in a squat position. I've been holding a squat here the whole time.
Yeah, no.
I'm trying to get off this podcast. My legs are burning. I've been squatting here for 40 minutes. No. But no, brilliant, definitely. Brilliant. And, you know, my probably last piece of advice would be the diets of elite athletes. They are very functional diets. They're not necessarily healthy diets. So, you know, the likes of I use an extreme example, but, you know, Michael Phelps would eat 13,000 calories a day, monster drinks, energy drinks, all those things. The man's in the pool 4 hours a day. He's got a metabolism like a flipping elephant. You know, he needs to eat that amount of food to perform, not to be healthy, but to perform. So we're not getting up in the morning looking to perform. You know, we're looking, excuse me, to feel good, to move around, to, you know, keep a healthy weight and to be active and, you know, have a healthy mind. So again, eat for health, not for performance, because some people will question that. You know, bodybuilders eating 20 eggs a day, these things, but we don't need 20 eggs. We don't need
it's specific. It's for what they're doing.
Yeah. But those guys need it. So
like Michael Phelps, whenever he's retired, he's not going to be eating 13,000 calories a day. Do you know what I mean? Definitely. So that's specific for that activity that he's doing. You know, mountain walking, you know, mountain climbing, mountain biking, you know, anything that takes a lot out of it. Yes, you're going to need a lot more calories, of course. So it is specific to what you're actually doing. And change up your training every, you know, I will go back to, like, I've always loved the gym, yes, 100%, but start moving your body in different ways, even in the gym environment. I know people hate looking out of place. You know, I was thinking something yesterday, like I seen these 2 wee kids walking on like a pole, you know, balancing. And I thought to myself, you know what would happen if people saw me do that? Just walking in the main street and you're, you know, going, that boy's lost his marbles. But I'm like, no, I'm training my balance.
I'm having a great time. Yeah, you're probably having a better time than anyone in the gym sitting on a stationary bike. With all due respect, people in the gym right now on a stationary bike, but you probably are having a much better crack.
Exactly, change. No. Yes, exactly. So changing things around and doing, like we train so that our body can move correctly and be functional, whatever you want to call it. But it's be able to walk, to be able to sprint, to be able to run, to be able to move sideways, be able to climb, be able to squat down. I was back to the primal patterns. You have this the push, pull, the squat, the lunge, the bend, the twist, the gait. I always focus on those 7. If you add all those in, that's the sort of full round body movement, and that will keep you active.
Oh yeah, if you
meditate, of course.
What was that? Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, make sure you meditate as well. Obviously trying to.
Yeah.
Now, when I say meditate, I don't always mean sit down, close your eyes, and deep breath. You can do that, but trying to it's shut everything off for a few minutes and just let your brain focus.
Oh, there's nothing better. And again, it's finding that meditation that's as applicable to you. And some people get that through exercise, some people get it through a book or shutting off completely, or music, or guided meditation, being alone, being in silence. There's different ways to do it. So again, find out what works for you, and it's individual to you. And probably before we finish, Lee, I just want to emphasize the fact Lee and I are sort of health and fitness. I say use the word professionals, but we're in the industry, and Lee's a business owner, and myself working for Queen's. We're not shredding industry here in any way at all. Not every personal trainer is bad, or every fitness model or influencer is on steroids or doesn't know what they're doing. There's many fantastic, well-rounded, knowledgeable trainers and fitness models or influencers, or even high-profile trainers out there. Some are fantastic, and sometimes that's how they get to that position, because they're very good at what they do, and we don't want to discount anybody. But what I would say is ask that question. I know it sounds obvious, but speak to a personal trainer in real life, not just look at one and what you see. And if you follow their app, okay, their app might be fantastic, there may be great programs there, but then take that to another personal trainer or another fitness professional or an elite athlete, somebody who's been in the industry, a healthcare professional, and just get a second opinion. That would be my biggest advice. Just get an alternative opinion on what you're seeing, what you're reading. And if you feel like bodybuilding style training isn't for you, don't do it. There's great functional training movements. People go to CrossFit gyms, or they do yoga, or they do Pilates, and aesthetics is a byproduct of some of those training methods.
Oh yeah.
If you eat well and you do training that suits you, you will start to look good without doing that specific bodybuilding type of training. That's a great byproduct of some of these different training methods is looking good, and that will that may make you feel good. It may not make a world of difference. Again, my last point would be aesthetics don't make you good performers, in the sense of, I'm going to use Tyson Fury as an example for boxing. Big, sort of non-aesthetic looking guy. He's the world champion of the world, compared to Anthony Joshua. They're two different individuals. They look different. One is just genetically built like Hercules. The other one is basically, but it has all the skills in the world. So again, bodies don't make you a world champion, and a body isn't necessarily going to make you feel good. So again, do what makes you happy.
100%. There's one wee thing I just want to say there before you finish. You'd mentioned there about speaking to a trainer. Couldn't agree more. And when you say speak, we mean voice. I don't mean text. I don't mean messages on Facebook. Speak. Yeah. Because that's the only way you're going to get to know if this trainer is ideal for you, coach, whatever it may be. And that to me is very, very important, and don't lose that. I know the age that we're in, it's very easy to hop on whatever media platform. You tell message a trainer, right? I'm looking, but when you're free, boom, okay, let's go. No. Pick up the phone and call them. Yeah. Call them and have a chat. Any good coach will obviously sit and talk to you about what you're looking. So that's a very important piece of advice. Yeah.
100%. And if you do speak to your personal trainer and they give you a training program, please make sure it's specific to you. You don't just hand your program. And second of all, any good trainer will not be offended if you take the program and you go and ask for a second opinion to another trainer, and they'll go, by all means, this is for you. You know, I'd rather you get the best experience possible. If you take that to another trainer and get a secondary opinion because you don't have that knowledge base, then that trainer shouldn't feel offended. You know, they should be happy that you are taking that time to give yourself the best chance to maintain a sustainable program. Because even as a personal trainer, first of all, they want to ensure that you hit your goals, but they also want you to come back and make sure that you follow that journey rather than just do a 3-week, 4-week program and then leave, because that doesn't suit anybody. So a good trainer will, you know, encourage you to, you know, go and get additional information if you need it, go get nutritional advice if you feel like you need it, and they won't be offended. So, you know, don't feel worried about getting a second
You've
opinion.
hit a nail on the head there about something as well, as in it's specific to make sure that the program is specific to you. Now, if you're suffering with some sort of condition, you need to check that trainer's scope of practice, whether they can train you or cannot, whether they need to refer you on to somebody else, like referral coach or specialist, cancer, cardiac, whatever it may be. So if it's specific to you, you need to make sure that, you know, everything that you need is covered in that, you know.
Absolutely. Fantastic, Lee. I appreciate your time. We've gone over, but it was a great conversation, and I really appreciate it. And hopefully see you soon, and we'll get you back on. And I'm
yes, sir.
I'm sure viewers are going to find this very informative. So again, I appreciate your time. You look after yourself, and I'll talk to you soon. You take care.
You too, Andrew. All right, take care, everyone. Good luck.
Goodbye.
Bye.